Hello everyone. Thank you for landing on this video. I want to try to make this worth your time. And what this video is going to address and be about is, okay, so I have a host of conditions. My current psychiatrist thinks it's schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, autism spectrum disorder, conduct disorder, opiate use disorder, mild, amphetamine use disorder, severe. Okay, I'm 34 years of age. Let me break this down to you, if you can relate. But between the ages of 6 and 21, I was prescribed amphetamines for for ADHD, stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I was seen as inattentive type, but I think I was combined type. Okay, so I took just stimulants, Ritalin. They switched me on head medication trials ages 6, 7, 8, 9. Was on prescribed Ritalin around the third grade, year 2000, late 2000, early 2001. Something happened where I started becoming a significant behavioral problem. The school I went to, the principal thought I had Tourette's because, there was a student that I would, I don't want to say obsess over, but he had his temper tantrums kind of similar to mine, and I would egg him on, or I would obsess over it and kind of taunt him and stuff like that. I would say, Nick Nelson, over and over again. And and then the principal would come down to the classroom, take me to her office, and I'd be crying. Well, I can understand why she thought it was Tourette's. So I was prescribed amphetamines, or specifically Ritalin, by the age of 11, 12. By 2003, I was the Concerta came out. Concerta was released, invented. I would take that so I wouldn't have to. I could just take one pill in the morning, and then by age 11, 2003. I was diagnosed with a mood disorder, bipolar disorder. They suspected it for a couple of years beforehand, but it takes a while to come to a conclusion as if a child has bipolar disorder. It's usually something they don't want to diagnose till you later. So yeah, I was prescribed Ritalin. I was prescribed an antipsychotic, specifically Risperdal, 1 milligram by age of 11, 2003. And how many years? Yeah. And that's what worked for me. Did I have my moments in school? Did I draw attention to myself at times, class clownish at times? Yeah. But let me tell you something else. Between the ages of 6 to 21, when I was prescribed amphetamines, they don't want to prescribe me amphetamines anymore because this clinic called Behavioral Health of Michigan, specifically Bay City, Michigan, they upgraded the bipolar disorder to schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. Probably only because I may have mentioned or foolishly mentioned something about God or spirituality. And I'm not going to, of course, I can't just assume that she's an atheist, agnostic, but she's coming from a field, psychiatry, that is based on logic and stuff like that, things that are measurable. They, in secular psychiatry, they don't, depending on the psychiatrist, they tend to view people that are a little too spiritual and people that think people are after them, demons, target you and stuff like that. They tend to categorize that as schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder. So originally it was bipolar ADHD, and in the 90s, early 2000s, they didn't know hardly shit about the milder end of autism, the milder end of the autism spectrum, which used to be referred to as Asperger's syndrome. I wasn't diagnosed with autism until 2014. So I got a lot of damn disorders, But yeah, age 6 to 21. Okay, these past 4 years, of course, at first I didn't think it would spiral out of control. I fell into substance abuse. Basically, my conclusion is that my brain is missing something neurochemically. My dopamine or dopamine 2 norepinephrine levels are insufficient. They want me to, so these damn psychiatrists, not saying they're bad, or I mean, they've been to school for 8 years. Have I been to school for 8 years? No, but I'm the motherfucker that's been taking these pills for a little over 20 years. So I know a thing or two, more like way more than that. So yeah, the community, the masses, people in general, psychiatrists, and then people in the drug scene, party life, you know, people off the street, they don't want someone like me to stand up for themselves. Because why? Because I have money. These doctors just want me to be a fucking drooling zombie, just mindlessly do what I'm fucking told without questioning it. They don't want me to, you know, I'm a stand on amphetamines. I use methamphetamine to treat ADHD, and I also may have, I can't self-diagnose, but I may have a mild case of chronic fatigue syndrome, which, in other words, there's many days where I would sleep over 12 hours and I still don't feel rested. I could sleep a full 9 hours and still take a 3-4 hour nap. Like these fucking doctors and these fucking loser bummy addicts and, you know, people, you know, the conniving individual, people just want me to be a fucking doormat. God created me to be a stand-up guy, not some fucking bitch who just does whatever he's told, lets people take advantage of him. That's not who God created me to be. In my next appointment, my psychiatrist is probably going to be caught off guard because I'm not gonna bully her. I'm not gonna use names. I'm not trying to necessarily bash behavioral health services because you can't. I'm not gonna judge the whole organization or just based on one psychiatrist. She's not a bad psychiatrist. She's a relatively good psychiatrist, but I can understand the hesitancy of not wanting to prescribe someone with. Of course, I'm not diagnosed with ADHD anymore. I was diagnosed with ADHD, bipolar, possible Asperger's from ages 6 to 21. The suspicion of mild Asperger's wasn't even brought to the table until I brought it up, psychiatrist, because I didn't really exhibit too many autistic traits, other than being occasionally socially awkward. Wouldn't rock back and forth. You know, I never had classic autism. There's symptom overlap between ADHD and this autism, and then the other form of it, the milder form, is social communication disorder, which is like kind of like the old PDD-NOS. Basically, to put it in layman's terms, I don't know if you ever watched 2.5 Men, but social communication disorder is best described as just men who are typically function in life, have their own place, job, car, driver's license. They're just not very good. They're not good with women, socially awkward with women. They could go years without getting laid, whereas autism is more extreme, which includes the symptom trait called stereotype patterns of interests and behaviors. Social communication disorder is just basically social pragmatic deficits. You might not understand sarcasm or be able to relate to sarcasm, whereas someone with mild autism might be very literal, whereas someone with social communication disorder, which I would say is like the old PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder, are best described as probably just not good with the opposite sex, you know, turned on by women. Most women are out of their league, but, you know, not, or maybe, you know, things like that, you know. So, with that said, where am I? So, the reason why I've been abusing amphetamines, stimulants, street drugs such as methamphetamine, crack cocaine, and a couple times I did Molly. I started out with coke, 2022. The addiction, and on latter 2021, latter half of 2021, at times I had cravings for substances, but if I couldn't get it, I would just forget about it and just go do something with my time, you know, play a video game, you know, just immerse myself in my hobbies, just forget about it. Because these psychiatrists, because I'm diagnosed schizoaffective, I probably should have been more careful talking about these delusions. I'm actually starting to question the schizoaffective bipolar type diagnosis, largely because I recognize my delusions 90% of the time, unless something sets me off as delusions, or most likely a delusion. Whereas with schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, it's more extreme than bipolar. It's like bipolar times 2 or 3. You believe in your delusions. If I were schizoaffective, people would call them their delusions, so-called delusions. They see their delusions as reality. Whereas I'm able to step a step away, and I'm able to evaluate these delusions. For the past few years, I've been on this kick. I've had this notion that malevolent, unseen forces, demonic, or negative entities target me. And I think there's a layer of truth to that, although I've kind of went overboard with that. Like, it's also not the Christian, like, I'm a Christian too. I have a background as a born-again Christian. I have a background in the kingdom of God. But as the years went on after my wife died from kidney failure 2015, I sort of went my own way. You know, I believe God protects me. He doesn't let me to get possessed by anything. Like, I could use an Ouija board. Nothing happens. I don't get possessed. Doesn't matter what drug I do. You know, God looks over me, probably largely because I'm neurodivergent. I'm not all there. Am I responsible for my actions, and do I take accountability? Yes. But with all these host of conditions I have, makes me a vulnerable individual. My next appointment, I'm going to tell my doctor, I'm probably on the verge. She doesn't, between the ages of 6 to 21 was prescribed amphetamines for ADHD. Between the ages of 6 to 21, I didn't have any desire, or didn't even think about using drugs, legal drugs, not even marijuana or smoking a cigarette. I didn't even pick up cigarettes until I was 23, going on 24. That's when I wasn't prescribed amphetamine. Like, the only time I would even drink or smoke weed is when I was heavily peer pressured to do it by my friends or my brothers. Like, when I was on concerted Adderall, I didn't need anything. It I went kind of bonkers on it. I think after high school, neurochemically, my brain went through some changes to where it was actually starting to get me high. I can understand with this diagnostic impression, me being schizoaffective, doctors don't want to prescribe me amphetamines, thinking I'm going to go off the rails. Oh, John's going to think aliens are after him, wearing human suits. He's going to shoot people. He's going to go postal. He's going to fly off the fucking handle. Oh my God. No. Let me tell you why. If I were capable of harming someone or myself, or going off the rails, being an absolute lunatic, and overtaken by delusion, if all these past 4 years using methamphetamine, it wouldn't have happened by now. I wouldn't have hurt someone, killed someone. No, capable of that. These doctors, psychiatrists are categorically eliminating a whole category of a medication, specifically stimulants, based on their notion that I'm schizoaffective. I'm gonna make it clear to the psychiatrist that I recognize my delusions as most certainly being a delusion. 95% chance. I've had a lot of people take advantage of me, get over on me. These past few years, I would say I've lost probably upwards of $3,000-$4,000 because the people that I was surrounded with and the people that would pop into my apartment. I had my own I had 3 different apartments. First one when I was 23, it was only $350 a month, and the hallway, and then it was past the last few months I lived there. It was a 2-bedroom basement dingy apartment. It was only $350 a month. I lived there alone. And then the last few months I lived there, they knocked it down to $300 because they found out the hallway electric went to my electric bill. I paid for non-heat electric. See, I'm trailing off ADHD. As of now, I'm on methamphetamine. So if this psychiatrist doesn't want to open up to the idea of prescribing me a low dose of a stimulant, motherfucker, if you're so paranoid about me going off the rails, just by all means increase the dosage of my Zyprexa, which is an antipsychotic. You know, God didn't create me to be a fucking drooling zombie who just says yes to everything, who's just a little bitch, does everything he's told without questioning it. Oh, give people money whenever they want it. No, God created me to be a stand-up guy. Either these doctors, I'm probably never, most likely never going to quit the street drugs, the stimulants specifically, methamphetamine, crack cocaine, and such. If I'm not prescribed a stimulant, when I was prescribed a stimulant, I didn't even think about using illegal drugs, like of any kind, let alone even a cigarette, until I was 23. My brain, it started out, the substance abuse tends to start out mild, in the mild category. You start out with cigarettes, started out getting those, what do you call them, cigarlo things that people use for blunt wraps, smoke weed. They're out with that. And then cigarette, yeah, because I was exposed to secondhand smoke when I moved from Wisconsin, which is my wife's home state. We were only together for 2 years, 3 months. We married on day 79. And people probably thought she brainwashed me, but no. Did she have faults? Yes. Was she a little crazy? Yes. But she knew how to mask it. People wouldn't think she had any disorders. She didn't have the social impairments that I have. She actually took more pleasure going to the bar, trying to casually lead people, or casually share the gospel message at the bar, people drinking, than going to these churches, because a lot of them are spiritually dead, and she wouldn't grow there. But she would go to church largely just because I spiritually grew. I was a baby Christian. These psychiatrists. I'm now. I think I'm finally at my wit's end with these delusions. That's probably the main reason why I'm not prescribed amphetamine. I'm diagnosed schizoaffective bipolar type. Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't a substance abuser. Didn't even think about using drugs, let alone even drinking or smoking weed. I had to get peer pressured by my friends. Hey, let's go drink. Let's go party. Like, my brain neurochemically had what it needed when I was prescribed amphetamines for the ADHD. I would have went back to college years ago if I was prescribed amphetamine. Be working, more productive, instead of just sitting around, laying around, watch Netflix, stuff my face, take long naps, play video games, jerk off. No, I'd be more purposeful. I would have been more accomplished by now if I was prescribed amphetamines. Well, I understand the reasons fully why these psychiatrists don't want to prescribe me an amphetamine, because what I think I truly have is somewhere in between autism spectrum disorder and social communication disorder. Alan Harper from 2.5 Men reminds me of social communications. And then so I have probably severe ADHD, because neurochemically, I just, even things I'm interested in, I can barely focus. Like I might sit and play a video game for a half an hour. I might sit and read half a chapter of a book, one chapter of a book, always bounce around from activity to activity. Like, psychiatrists don't want to prescribe amphetamines to people like me because all the symptom overlap, the different conditions. But if prescribe me a stimulant or an amphetamine such as Vyvanse or Concerta or Adderall is categorically the wrong category of medication to prescribe me. Why was it prescribed for me so long, ages 6 to 21? It helped me pay attention in school. I got mostly B's and C's, some A's here and there. I was like a 3.0 student. Did I have my moments here and then? Yeah. Every now and then I would have a little incident or draw attention to myself. People after school would be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what John Beeson did. He did this. You're not going to believe what John Beeson did. My God. Yeah, sometimes I'll draw attention to myself because why? I was youthful. I was just a teenager. I was just a child. Of course, I have way more than just ADHD going on. And and I don't want to trail out going off on another tangent, but after I was on bond for a felony for blowing up, or had a bout of anger at a high-rise apartment I lived at, which is the best setup in the country, money-wise. I was only paying like $215, $220 a month, like no utilities, and I fucked that all up. Man, I wish I just smoked a damn blunt. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but there was a scheduled inspection. I spent hours cleaning my apartment, preparing for it. And when that lady that worked in the office knocked alongside with the janitor right next to her. I guess she was paranoid about me because of previous erratic behavior or seeing something on the camera. One time I was running late for an appointment and I forgot my car keys, or I forgot something. I ran back in the hall and was hitting my head a couple times on my door. Oh my God, this guy's crazy. He might kill someone. I had the janitor with me. So they knocked on the door pretty damn loud, pretty damn hard. And the reverberation caused a box of video games to fall over. And the bitch assumed that, John's throwing things. She's being erratic. No, her assumption, and then she said, I'm just going to write you up. Like, no. Julie, let's do this. I prepared for hours. I wasn't throwing things. They just fell over. No, I'm just going to write you up. And, both sides of my family, they're high strung. Both my grandfathers were nuts. Not necessarily mental disorder nuts, but you didn't fuck with my grandfathers on either side, or they would eat you alive. Freaking grab you by the neck and push you up, or fucking push you up to the wall. You didn't fuck with them. They had that kind of temperament, the cleric temperament. Cleric in layman's terms means get her done, I know best, I run the show. Ain't got much cleric. So anyway, yeah. And then when I called my dad and vented, I went overboard, and some neighbors someone overheard that I wanted to kill her, give her a slow, painful death. Was my behavior excessive and morally wrong? Absolutely. Do I regret that? Yes. And I have a felony conviction because of that. Carry a dangerous weapon with unlawful intent, which can carry up to 5 years in prison in Michigan. I was given probation. I was in jail for 2 days, and I was bonded out. Because I wasn't built for jail. That was that was the second time I went to jail. I had a disorderly conduct in Wisconsin. So yeah, with these anger issues, supposed schizoaffective disorder, or at the mildest, bipolar psychotic features, conduct disorder, and I've had even tics from time to time, not Tourette's, few notches under that. I can understand why the doctors would categorically discriminate, they would not prescribe me a stimulant. But let me tell you something. I went back to college years ago. I flunked out of college in April 2011. You know how many years ago that was? That was, 13 years ago. 13 and a half years ago. I'm living under my potential because my brain is craving my brain neurochemically needs something that the doctors aren't prescribing me. If they're so fucking paranoid, they should just test the waters with a low dose of Vyvanse or something. If you're so damn paranoid about me flying off the handle, just by all means increase the Zyprexa from 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams. Or upgrade the fucking antipsychotic medication to freaking Seroquel or something. Or whatever the fuck. I think the way that I present myself gets people... can make people think a certain way about me. Probably the demon thing. Is there a spiritual warfare element in my life? Yes. There's no denying that. It's not an everyday thing. Demons aren't causing a ruckus every other day or anything like that. But for whatever reason, despite my Christian background, I've been working with a spiritualist witch, past 2 years, because I have a problem with saying yes to almost everything. I rarely say no. I'm just too open-minded. I wanted to see where it would go. And she made it sound compatible with my Christian faith. Oh, I can see your wife, sense your wife. I communicate with your ancestors and all this. And she would request large amounts of money. Of course, I would meet her in the middle. Instead of sending her 70, I'd send her 25 or 30. I mean, I believe there is a possibility that whatever she's doing ritually, spiritually, is having maybe some sort of an impact, but it's a weak nature, and it's not worth the amount of money that she desires. She's questioning her self-worth. I've had some nasty back and forth messages with her, making her cry. I make women cry I've often made women cry. probably the autism. I have a little bit of the cleric insensitivity, critical, insensitive, be pretty reactive, And I would say I have a certain degree of childishness, Like I took driver's training in high school, segment 1, passed it. I never took my road test and I'm 34. Never felt quite ready. Well, the instructor in Bangor Township, which is the district I live in, is an asshole, but I can't let that be there are so many milestones I haven't reached in life. I'm in almost in my mid-30s. I haven't reached. I would believe part of the reason for that is that my brain neurochemically is missing something that the doctor doesn't want to prescribe me out of fear of me flying off the damn handle. And if I was going to fly off the handle, hurt someone, kill someone, or just have this major psychotic break, it would have happened by now on fucking using methamphetamine. And these amphetamines are less extreme than that. Methamphetamine is more powerful than the pharmaceutical stimulants such as Adderall, Concerta, Ritalin, Vyvanse, and whatnot. I don't know. You tell me. Is this psychiatrist there's been more than a handful of times I almost got hit by a car because I had my head up my ass because I'm not paying attention to my surroundings. The doctor's failure to properly treat my severe ADHD symptoms could be the reason why I get hit by a car and I'm getting seriously injured, paralyzed, or dead. And I would hope that my parents would sue that motherfucking doctor for it. Yeah, maybe that's a little too extreme, suing my doctor. She's not, of course, responsible, but I believe she's a little misguided because, you don't, of course you want to tell your doctor, not necessarily everything, but you want to tell them most close to you got to you got to tell them what's going on, but you don't want to, you got to be careful how you word things with these psychiatrists because they're coming from a logical, often agnostic atheist type of worldview all too often. Of course, I think she's probably a believer in God, but the one I had before her was probably an agnostic atheist because, the hyper spirituality, the God stuff, demon stuff, spiritualism, witches, spells, all that stuff sounds crazy when, to most people, probably more especially them, not really judging me, but it's no wonder why I'm diagnosed as schizoaffective. I probably shouldn't have just bullshitted the psychiatrist and just said I was a damn atheist or something. Maybe I wouldn't have been. Maybe they just wouldn't have kept the bipolar diagnosis. In Wisconsin, I was diagnosed with mood disorder unspecified. What else? Mood disorder unspecified, autism spectrum disorder, persistent depressive disorder, and I think that was about it. And tic disorder. I'm a few notches under having Tourette syndrome. It's actually my tics are improved. But on top of all these other pervasive conditions, sometimes I have tics, especially which are brought on by anxiety. One time at KFC, which I'm currently working there right now. At 34, should a 34-year-old be working at KFC? I mean, it doesn't make you less of a person. I'm trying. I'm only working 1 day a week. I have my head up my ass 1/3 of the time I'm there. I'm doing things not quite right and not moving fast enough. These doctors need to probably test the waters with a damn stimulant. I don't know. You tell me. I'm not sure what else to add to this. I think I just about covered everything. All the whole checklist. The whole picture regarding this. I don't know. What do you think? Should a doctor prescribe me amphetamines? I'd probably be able to quit the cigarettes and just use nicotine gum. I wouldn't think about getting high, not even half as much if I was prescribed a stimulant. That's the only way I'm going to quit the amphetamines the only way I'm going to quit using the street drugs, the amphetamines, methamphetamine, is either A, I'm institutionalized, or B, a doctor prescribes me amphetamine, a low dose, start off, and then maybe adjust other medications I've prescribed alongside it. Maybe increase the Zyprexa dosage if you're so fucking worried about me flying off the handle just because of that. I don't know. You tell me. Do you think a doctor should probably prescribe me, Concerta, Vyvanse, low dose, or something? Like, I'm prescribed guanfacine, which interacts with A2 receptors, which only helps with inattention issues by like a small notch. It's not, it kind of helps, but that's not going to cut it. So you tell me. Do you think a doctor should prescribe me a stimulant, low dose, test the waters with it? Because I would have been back to college years ago. I would be more accomplished by now if I was prescribed a stimulant. Yeah, people don't want me on fucking amphetamines, methamphetamines, stimulant. Guess why? They want me to be a little bitch, a fucking zombie drone a person who says yes to everything, be a damn doormat. That's not who God created me to be. All right. Well, thank you. If you've watched this video this far, well, thank you for sacrificing. That's a lot of time to use out of your day, but I don't know. You tell me. Should I be prescribed a stimulant, or am I too crazy for that? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in.